You're listening to Gearing Up, an everyday carry podcast, a show that's made for the community, featuring interviews with makers, creators, and members of the community, and discussions on current trends in the industry. Follow along as we talk about life, gear, hobbies, and more. And be sure to stay tuned for new episodes every week. Alright, I just gotta say, excuse me, listening back to that intro, I gotta be honest, every week, man, if you guys have been paying attention to the feed, you know that is not happening right now. And let me just go into why. So, set the scene for you. Right now I'm sitting at the desk, kids are asleep, wife's doing something in the kitchen, and this desk that I'm at is atrocious, and it's no cleaner than the last time I was sitting here. And you know, I feel like this desk is a great representation of work, life, podcast, hobby, gear, balance right now. It's just a mess. It's crazy. It's all over the place. So work has been pretty crazy, and because of that, I haven't had the bandwidth to spend time with the boys and hang out with the wife, and then once everybody's asleep, or settled for the evening, then come in here. And on top of that, I've just been absorbed into playing the Switch. The new Pokemon game came out 3-4 weeks ago, end of January, and I've been playing it nonstop. It's incredible. So for those that are not big fans of the franchise, or don't have a Switch or whatever, I understand if you don't get it, but I'm a big Nintendo guy, and new Pokemon, especially one as good as this one, and having the ability to play it, and now my 4.5-year-old is so into it and loves playing and loves watching me play and all that stuff. So that's where I've been spending my time. That being said, I miss doing this. That's why. So last night I was gonna record, and then I thought, it got to I don't know, maybe 10 or 10:30, and I was like, I don't want to go sit in there and stay up even later. and seriously, you say 10:30, it's not that late. I'm an early bird. I go to bed early. 8:30 is a great bedtime. And I don't mean fall asleep at 8:30, of course. I get in bed at 8:30. When the kids allow, I guess you would say. So yeah, that's what's been going on the last couple weeks, and I'm trying to hammer out some guests. I've got a couple coming up that I'm pretty excited about, but I also, just to be completely honest, wasn't even sure 100% what I would come on and talk about until I have a guest. So, I've got some ideas rolling around, and I'm going to talk about a couple things today, but, I really just wanted to do it whenever I felt like I had something to say, and here we are. So, I appreciate you guys sticking with me through the ebbs and flows of doing this, and the support that I get with every episode that drops is just incredible. The show, just a couple of tooting my horn here, the show has now passed 19,000 downloads, which is just nuts. The fact that the episodes have been downloaded and listened to, I can't imagine. It just blows my mind. So thank you guys again for the continued support. And without any further ado, let's just get into the few things that I wanted to touch on today. So the first one is kind of the latest controversy. Yeah, no, this is just a podcast where I have to talk. The latest controversy around the everyday carry community, at least the latest one that I'm familiar with, but Leatherman, I've spoken about them several times on the podcast, and I semi-daily carry a Leatherman tool in my bag, and they posted, I think it was maybe right before Valentine's Day. I don't remember exactly when, but they posted a new product, and it was a belt sheath that held keys and a Leatherman tool, and a a flashlight or something. I forget exactly what it was, but it was very reminiscent. And when it was a blatant copy of a design that has been popularized and I don't want to go as far to say like they created it, because I don't know. I haven't looked into it, so this is just me speaking from like what I know and what I've seen at face value. But this design is one that is sort of what's the word? Like it's sort of iconic, and it's sort of tied to Tale of Knives. They make, and I don't know much about them either, so I followed them for a little while, but they obviously started popping up a little more in my feed after this whole debacle. But anyways, Leatherman posted this up. It was like, hey, check this thing out. It's our new thing. And my God, the comment section was just so savage. Like, just people were railing Leatherman about, ripping it off, copying it. And we'll talk about that more in a second. But like my input is I don't know where the design originated. I don't know if they took something that they, being Tale of Knives, like took something and modified it and added their own spin, and then that became their sort of signature key design, and now it's also been popularized in the community and other folks have ripped it off or taken inspiration from it or whatever. I'm not giving Leatherman a pass here, so don't think that that's what this is about. I guess I'm trying to sort of see it from a different angle. So on one hand, if they originated the design, again, I don't know the history behind it, but what I would say is if it's their design and they originated it and they popularized it, then hell yeah, like Leatherman should be getting roasted as hard as they can. Now, if it is not an original design, then it still stinks. You're taking an iconic design and something that is sort of synonymous with Tale of Knives, and you're slapping a Leatherman logo on it. I don't know if it's made in the U.S. I don't know what kind of quality goes into it. I mean, I've seen Leatherman sheaths, and my God, they're just they're like, they're usually like the nylon ones with the Velcro. So maybe this was them trying to branch out and do something a little nicer. But I think the most important thing that I took away from it was not like, did they rip off their design? Was it a douchebag move? Because I think the answer to both of those seems to be yes. But the real thing that kind of got under my skin was just the absolute and utter lack of response from Leatherman. Like, they didn't say anything. They didn't pull down the post. They didn't, issue any kind of statement, at least not that I've seen, on, hey, we understand that a lot of folks are saying this is their design, but here's where we found it, or here's how we came, like just some kind of explanation, some kind of response. And that to me, like, and I guess the problem here with Leatherman is Leatherman, although they are greatly represented in the EDC community, they also have just a whole, the EDC community is such a small sliver of, their whole pie. And so even if we're as loud as hell and say you guys suck and you need to say something, you need to make it right, you need to change this, whatever, I think when you have a giant company, that's really hard to move the needle or push the envelope or whatever, whatever you want to say. But I still think it was really shitty that, I mean, I don't know, it was like 500-600 comments, I think, on that announcement post of their product, and I went through them kind of early on, and man, people were letting them have it, and I didn't see a lot of dissent in the comments there. So I got to imagine, like, somebody somewhere, I mean, listen, if you're the social media manager for Leatherman and you see that, like, I know you see it, you have to see it. Like, if you have an account with how many ever thousands of followers, like, you gotta see that. It's not like it was one negative comment, right? That could get buried. But to not say anything, not to address the elephant in the room, so to speak, like, I just think that was kind of crappy, right? And so, my opinion, again, for what it's worth, is I like Tale of Knives. I like their products. I don't know much about them. I don't own any of their stuff, but I looked through like their website and like they're ready to ship or whatever. And their stuff looks great, and I didn't think it was unreasonably priced, and they seem like cool dudes. I say he, I know it's like a husband and wife, I think, and he's been responding to people's comments, thanking them for their support, and like obviously he's in a position where it makes sense for him to respond to comments and thank them for the support, but seeing like that level of engagement just reminded me why supporting smaller companies and supporting smaller businesses is so important. And so I just wanted to, I guess I'll close this with a shout out to Tale of Knives for like handling it like a boss. And you've got a great community of people around you. Don't even know if you'll hear this, but I like what you do, and I'm sorry that it happened to you, and hopefully Leatherman owns up and turns around and says, hey, you know what? We made this design, whether it was intentional or not. I mean, it just seems so intentional. But hey, we want to do this or that or whatever to make it right. And really, I don't look at it as an opportunity for them to buy a design or take a design or steal a design. Like that looks like a great opportunity for collaboration. Like, branch out, expand some of these smaller companies that, if their bread and butter, if Tale of Knives' bread and butter is these sheaths you wear on your belt that hold Leathermans, like that's a great chunk of your client base that, hey, this is an opportunity to expand the audience that Tale of Knives has through the giant megaphone of Leatherman. But I think that was kind of lost, and the lack of response is just, to me, it's unacceptable, and that's what's frustrating to me. So yeah, I'm not going crazy. I'm not going crazy. It's not that people that did this are crazy, but like I have one Leatherman tool. It was gifted to me. It's kind of vintage. And so I'm not going to like get rid of it or sell it or throw it away or whatever out of protest, right? But I'm certainly not throwing more money their way. So really that's all I got to say about that. Like that's something that I wanted to talk about. I know at this point it's sort of died down a little bit and you guys may not care anymore, but if we take a step back and we look at kind of the bigger picture of inspiration, and I've done an episode or two in the past about this idea of like, where is the line in inspiration, plagiarism, influence, and how do you navigate that as like a creator in the space? Now, this example obviously is pretty black and white. Like you have a small maker. I mean, they're not small, they're not tiny, but you have a small business and a giant company, and the giant company took this design and called it their own, right? And so, if you take a step back and you look at like just this industry, their design was it's sort of unique in how it looks and feels, and the sort of arrangement of everything, right? Like making a handkerchief, right? You can only make a handkerchief so unique, right? It's a square cloth, right? Not to listen, I'm a big Hank guy, so I'm not like anybody that makes Hanks. Love what you do, right? But if you had a super unique feature on your handkerchief, and then all of a sudden you see, I don't know, a big clothing company that would make handkerchiefs, I don't know, insert whoever you want there, all of a sudden this giant company comes out and they've got a handkerchief that has that exact same unique feature, like you'd be a little bummed, right? And so obviously, again, I think it sort of varies just depending on how unique a feature is, how unique a design is, and I think every bit of creation, and let's not go super broad, right? Let's just talk about Instagram and EDC, right? Every bit of EDC photography pulls inspiration to some degree, right? There are small levels of inspiration and taking ideas and tricks and tips that other folks are nice enough to share, and taking them and trying them or taking them and tweaking them. and there's different degrees of that, right? So taking an inspiration and kind of trying it for yourself just to see if you could do it, or taking an idea and tweaking it, like that's fun. That's one thing, right? But blatantly ripping off another idea to where it looks like a carbon copy, like that. Yeah, that sort of crosses the line. So I don't know. I guess to sum this up, like, I don't know where exactly that line is with every bit of quote unquote creation, right? I'm doing air quotes here, but it's hard to say where that line is at the level I'm thinking, right? And just in like taking pictures and designing products and trying new things. You know what I mean? Like, I'm saying, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to respond right now. I hope you do. Yeah, I guess all this to say, like, I think the situation with Tale of Knives, like, and Leatherman, it was really shitty on Leatherman's part, and I hope they make it right. It was awesome to see the community sort of rally behind Tale of Knives and support one of our own, so that's really cool. And I'm interested to know your thoughts on what are some of like the less obvious ripoffs or quote unquote inspiration, but it's like, dude, come on, you're doing the same thing he's doing, like, and he did it first and he did it better. So if you've got a thought on that, like, let me know. Shout out in the comments on Instagram or something and be like, hey man, I listened to this episode, and what about this situation, that, like, share it with me. I'm happy to respond, and we'll go back and forth about it. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about that. Like I said, I felt like I had to at least mention it, and here I am almost 17 minutes in and we're still talking about it. So I was like, this is gonna be short, but it's not. The other thing that I wanted to go through on this episode, and it's not fully fleshed out, like I really want to revisit this, but maybe we'll make this like a recurring not what's the segment, that's the word I'm looking at. Like, I don't know why that was so difficult, but maybe we'll make this a recurring segment on the pod of like weird EDC items, or like obscure. I say weird, like, I don't. So here's a perfect example. So I was listening to Tom's episode, Notorious EDC. I was listening to his like What's in My Bag episode, and he just dropped it super casually, but he was like, and I got butt wipes in here. And I was like, whoa. At first I kind of chuckled a little bit, but I was like, that seems really practical. I know a lot of times he's working on location, and maybe you never know what the restrooms are like. So that just seemed like a very not common, not like obscure, like that's it makes total sense when you hear it, right? But just this kind of unique EDC item, right? And not unique in like a, hey, I'm the only one in the world that has this. Like, unique, like, you don't see butt wipes in everybody's EDC. There's no butt wipe pocket dumps. Please, God, don't make that a thing. So then that got me, like, my gears turning on, like, okay, so, I got the butt wipes from Tom, and then I started looking, and like, I even asked on Instagram, and I got some really creative answers. And, and for the most part, it was like, oh, I carry a paper clip. And I was like, well, okay, but why? And here's why. Or I think Sam, Raven the Pirate, said he carries like it's not quarters. I mean, maybe it's quarters. I don't know. He lives in Europe, and he carries I'll call it quarters because I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But it's like a cup of coffee at work costs 50 cents, so I carry 2 quarters in my little coin pocket, and I do that every day so that I can get a cup of coffee. And I'm like, that's brilliant, right? Not crazy, not off the wall, but just like unique to him. My go-to for this right now is one of the ones that I've mentioned it multiple times in the podcast, but my like obscure go-to for EDC is the Tide to Go pin. That thing has saved my butt and other people's more times than I can count. So I always have a Tide to Go pin. I have one in my car. I have one in my bag. Yeah, my car and my bag. That's it. Like, so I've always, and I'm pretty sure I make my wife have one in her purse because it comes in handy. and you know, some people say, well, it doesn't work that well. It works well enough that like I'm not gonna have a bad stain, so it's a win in my book. But then I went down this rabbit hole of like weird EDC items, and I know Taylor Martin, Best Damn EDC, has done like a weird EDC items video, I think, and I'll have to revisit his and see what kind of stuff he found. But the other one, when of course I say Tom talking about butt wipes got me thinking this just sounds wrong, but I saw these. I don't know if I got it in an ad on Instagram or what, but hang on while I look these up. So Dude Wipes is like a company that makes butt wipes for dudes, if you couldn't tell by the name. And they have, you guys have heard of Poo-Pourri? Amazing name for a product, by the way, like fantastic. So Poo-Pourri is like before you drop a load, deuce, poop, whatever you say, you spray the water first. You spray the water with this Poo-Pourri, and it's supposed to help mask the smell, not let it get in the, you know, again. Anyways, we're talking about poop on the podcast. I'm sorry. Listen, it's not my best work, but stick with me. Dude Wipes makes a product called the Dude Bombs. Now, the thing is, these are in a big bag, like you're supposed to just leave them by your toilet, but I was like, man, it would be brilliant if, you know, they had like a mini, like 3-pack. If I'm working somewhere, you know, or go over to the in-laws and I don't want to, you know, like it would be convenient to have this, you know, to keep the smell at bay. Let's just be honest. Like, everybody poops, right? We're cool with this. I never thought in a million years the podcast would have this much talk about this subject. So here we are. Anyways, thought that was a cool product, and I was like, man, that kind of falls in line with Tom's butt wipes. And here we are. We're back to Tom. If you guys can't tell, this has been on my mind for a minute. So here we are. But yeah, I would love to continue this idea of, you know, unique to me EDC items, right? If we can like hashtag it anything, right? Cause like saying weird or different or whatever like that, those have all kinds of different meanings. But like when this is like unique to my EDC, like I have a special reason I carry this thing, or this is an item that it isn't super common, but it's really practical for me and for this reason. So yeah, I would like to continue doing this. So if you are listening, you've made it this far and you've made it through all that talk about poo, like let me know, shoot me a message and say, hey man, here's what I keep in my car, or keep in my bag, or keep in my trunk, or keep you know, in my pocket, that's kind of off the wall or goofy or unexpected, but here's how it's been super helpful, right? I know the Tide Pen's probably not the only thing that I carry that's sort of wonky. I mean, like, this is not super weird, and all of you are probably like, oh yeah, I do this too, but I have the field sharpener from Worksharp, and I keep it in my backpack. And again, you know, that's not that off the wall, but like, I've got this sharpener so that somebody comes up to me at work and is like, hey man, can you sharpen my knife this weekend? I'd be like, hey, I'll do you one better. Let me touch it up real quick and get you through the rest of the day. And then I'll take it, you know. So it becomes convenient for me. I wouldn't expect everyone to carry a sharpener all the time, but it's small and lightweight, fits in a little pouch that I have, and that's it. So, yeah, we'll revisit this again. I'll gather up some like unique to me EDC items from folks, and maybe give a couple shout outs for the folks that send me their ideas. But yeah, if you guys have something, shoot me a message on Instagram or drop a comment and be like, hey man, here's what I carry and here's why. I would love some feedback there. Oh my God, when I hit record, just for those that don't know, I typically do podcasts in one take. When it's just me, it's one take. I don't edit. I don't trim. Like, you guys will hear me cough a lot of the time because I don't have a kill switch or anything that I can do real quick. So when I hit record, I had no idea that's where this was going to go. I knew I wanted to talk about Leatherman and Tale of Knives. I knew I kind of wanted to touch on some of the goofy EDC items, but I didn't know I was going to talk about bowel movements quite that much. So hopefully this is fun Friday talk for you, and you're enjoying this. And if you're not, or better yet, if this is the first time you've ever listened to this podcast, please don't let this episode scare you away. I promise this is the one and only episode where I've ever talked about number 2. I don't know why I'm having so much fun with this. But yeah, I think that's about it. We're hitting 26 minutes, so I'm gonna call it a day here. But a few things before we go. So shout out to the Patreons that are holding it down. I'd like to get to, a few more over the next month or two, and I'd like to do some giveaways there. So the reason this is not like a live stream video is my camera's not ready. I don't have just everything that I need yet. So I'm getting it ready. It will be here soon, and we'll start doing some live streams on Patreon. And then we'll do them on Patreon exclusively, and then like a day or two later, I'll pull them and upload them to YouTube as well, so that you can see them, but patrons get first access. So if you guys go to the link in my bio, gtdunn on Instagram, click the link, you can find the link to Patreon. You can jump in. I think the cheapest one is like $2 or $3 a month, but know that all of that money goes straight into supporting the show, hosting costs, production costs, upgrading equipment so I can bring you guys more goofy podcasts, and just a great way to support the show. So shout out if you're on there. Thank you. If you're not and you're interested, anything you can contribute is awesome. I also have a link in my bio for merch. There's some gearing up stuff, some pineapple stuff, and then just some random EDC stuff that I like threw together and put up just because I thought it looked cool. So if you want to get yourself a little something, I don't make a ton of money off it, make a couple bucks, but again, that money just gets recycled back into bettering the show and doing more here. So if you want to help out the show, those are 2 really great ways. Also, just know you don't ever have to do any of that. You guys listening, commenting, following, etc., all that stuff, that's more than enough. And I appreciate it a ton every time you guys share and all that stuff. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart for all that you guys do. Continue sharing and liking and commenting and all that stuff. Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. And hopefully I'll be back in a couple of days to do another episode. I'm probably going to try to knock it out like early next week, because my wife and I are celebrating 10 years married next week, and we're taking a little vacation, just me and her. So I'm hoping to get it all done and posted before Wednesday next week. So be on the lookout for another episode. But that's all I got for now. I hope you guys have an awesome day, night, weekend, whatever. And thank you for sticking around. Much appreciated, guys. Thank you again so much. And we'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.